Some of you are probably wondering, what are you going to make your podcasts about? Well, this slide deck is made for you to do some wayfinding or orient yourself in your headspace to really think about and prioritize what kind of things are important to you and what kind of things do you like so that you can pick a topic for your podcast. So let's look and see how we're going to use this slide deck. First, let's remind ourselves of the types of podcasts that we can make. A moment in history that students should learn about, an event at your school or your community, both sides of a debate, something that you want to change in the world, or explaining something that kids understand but grown-ups don't. Let's look at this first slide. The first idea that we're going to play with is brainstorming one topic for each of these categories. So, a moment in history that all students should learn about. Let's say you want that to be the War of 1812. You would simply type that right there so you have that idea captured and you know that maybe you could come back to it and develop a podcast about it. Make sure you do that with all 5 options. The next slide is to help you pick a topic. After you've brainstormed one idea for each, go ahead and pick which one of these types of podcasts you'd like to make, and then notice that each one of these has 3 different types of text that are linked to it. This will help you better understand and narrow down what kind of things you might be interested in for your podcast and pair them with actual texts. So, as you can see, each has a nonfiction text, a short story, which is actually a fable, and a poem that you will read and analyze to develop your own ideas. After that, you will, for each text that you read, put some basic information about it, and it's going to be your one-sheeter, all right? This is something that you will make sure it's complete so you understand all the text you've read, and you can use that to shape the story that you want to tell for your podcast. Here, you will complete a 3-part making connections between those 3 different texts. On slide 7, you are going to brainstorm your podcast topic ideas. So here, you will have picked one of these types of podcasts. Then you will come up with specific ideas for that type of podcast. So if you're doing a moment in history, and that's what you've narrowed it down to, you can say the War of 1812. You can say the Tulsa Massacre, and then continue about different historical topics that everyone or all students should know about. Here, you will decide who is your podcast aimed at? What audience do you want to listen to this podcast? When we understand our audience, we then better understand what to include in our podcast. What kind of details, what kind of stories, what kind of sounds, what kind of interviews, what kind of questions to ask. All of those things are going to be important when you target them at a single audience. Second to last, you're going to do a little bit of elaborating about what kind of podcast you're going to choose. So this is going to be one of these ideas from your brainstorming that you're going to elaborate your topic, how you're going to explore and what you'll show, why you think it's important, and list some things that you'll need to do to accomplish it. Make sure you answer yes or no to those questions. Last, you will pick your format. Are you going to interview? Are you going to co-host? You're going to have a panel, nonfiction, or whatever.